Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Victoria 2 Historical Flavor Mod, playing as Ethiopia, and I was skipping ahead a bit when this little event popped up. Long story short, it describes it describes an actual happening of Egyptian-administered Sudan, in which essentially its greatest export to Egypt was slaves, and even more specifically, slave soldiers. This was part of the intended purpose of the conquest of Sudan, but particularly in the south, it occurred in a more autonomous manner, in which local merchants who had been set up by the conquering Egyptians essentially claimed them for themselves, largely due to the large geological and cultural divide between North and South Sudan. It's evidenced by the fact that they are now two separate countries. But one of the biggest physical barriers is the Sud, the large swampland around the Nile in the southern part of Sudan, which essentially rendered it impassable for much of history, at least to Europeans, going as far back as the Romans even. But in any case, I believe what this event does is it expands your holdings in the Sud for some reason I've yet to determine. Yeah, right here. So, yeah, a few more grain RGOs, I guess. In any case, I guess I'm glad we got that. I mean, at least it doesn't hurt, and it's gonna make the borders look real nice. In any case, I will make an edit here, and I will cut ahead when something interesting other than sitting around and waiting happens, because it's gonna be a lot less fast-paced than it was when I was uniting the entire country. So stay tuned, and I'll be back with you in a moment. Alright, and I'm back for now. Just a brief update for you all on a couple of happenings. First of all, the Mexican-American War has now started. We have apparently a dictatorship in California, which has started up as well, which has Yankee as a primary culture. I suspect if the United States wins, which they might not, Mexico's a great power here. It's their military is not much weaker, so it's possible the United States might lose. I mean, I doubt it. I've never seen the United States lose the Mexican-American War, either in the historical flavor mod or the base game. But there's a first time for everything. I've seen stranger things. I've seen the United States claim large amounts of Canada before. So you never know. Also, in the meantime, the Sonderbund War, the civil war in Switzerland, has also started. I have a feeling we might be seeing the Spring of Nations happen soon, because we've got Jacobin rebels all up in our French kingdom here. Or French Empire now, I guess. Should probably switch from the Orleanists fairly soon. Huh. It should be Bonapartist if it's Empire. But I'm sure that'll change as soon as the month changes over. And now we have a crisis, and the Russians are siding with the Ottomans now. They're allies in this timeline, I guess. Yeah, some strange things happening. Spain is still a great power. This is unusually late for them to still be a great power. Usually they've stopped within, like, 5 years. But, yeah, this crisis. Okay, we are in the Bizarro timeline now. The UK is advocating for independent nations in the Balkans at the expense of the Ottomans. I mean, I guess it's consistent with their behavior in Egypt, and Russia is trying to prop them up. This is, again, the literal opposite of real life. they saw, I mean, in real life, Russia was highly sympathetic to the Greeks and others, largely because they were primarily Orthodox Christian, as they were. Russia also was one of the few European nations to be friendly toward Ethiopia for largely the same reason, and also because they saw them as a possible ally to hold off British and Italian expansion into the region. So we are through the looking glass in this particular playthrough. Well, now, yep, French Revolution of 47. Yes, the unrest in France hit its height recently, with crowds streaming through the streets of Paris and erecting barricades. In what was largely regarded as an accident, a French guardsman fired his musket on the citizens and set off a massacre. The resulting conflagration has swept the city, with crowds chanting, "Long live the reform," and "Down with the king." Despite assurances that everything is under control, the king has abdicated and fled the country, leaving the provisional government to step in and declare a second republic. Considering the popularity of Louis Napoleon Bonaparte upon the masses and the granting of universal voting rights, some are saying he may in fact take the leadership. I'm guessing calling it an empire was a blip, I guess. Yeah, because if it were called the Empire, Louis Napoleon would already be there. In any case, I'm also in the process of fabricating. I've been lucky so far in terms of not accruing infamy. Speak of the devil, we can now declare war. Hang on, I'll move my troops into position and occupy the and take with it the Sultanate of Orsangali. This would be simply another another entry in the long history of war between Ethiopians and Somalis. Sadly, if you're watching at this point, I probably have already talked about this in my my last blog entry. But so if you've read that, you know at least something of what I'm talking about. I probably should have checked that they weren't in someone's sphere. They were not. Still. Let's see, how's that ass backwards crisis doing? Well, apparently Albania lost that one, and Britain backed down. Britain's rather weak militarily here. Maybe that's the reason why they've been staying out of this. How's the Mexican-American War going, huh? The United States seem to be turning it a bit more towards their side. I'm guessing it's not over yet, though. But yes, one of the major turning points in Ethiopian history occurred largely as a result of a war against against a particularly Somali sultanate, the Sultanate of Adal, which occurred in the 16th century, and it effectively became a proxy war between the Ottomans, who supplied and armed the Adal Sultanate, who the Sultan of Adal declared his war to be a holy war, a jihad, and as such, the received assistance in the form of cannons, which were they were instructed in their construction by the Turks, and Ethiopia in turn requested arms and assistance from Portugal, as Portugal was attempting to control more of its approaches, to keep control, or at least keep in Christian hands, of the area around the Horn of Africa for the sake of their trade in the Indies. So it became a very violent and bloody proxy war, which ended up essentially ruining both states for the time, and paving the way for the Oromo migrations, which had major societal consequences in Ethiopia. So long history, a lot of bad blood, and presently in the largely Somali Ogaden, there are still region of currently Ethiopia. There is presently ethnic conflict going on in the area. So this is still historically, and still a lot of, I hate to put it as to understate it by calling them bad feelings, because it's significantly more than that, but yeah, a lot of bad history there. And in any case, we have cotton, and our reactionaries seem to be militant enough at the moment. I am wondering if anything more is going on right now in Europe when it comes to the Spring of Nations. Usually this is accompanied by other... Alsace-Lorraine separated from France. I have never seen that happen. Huh. That is going to be a pretty big deal for whoever forms Germany, because if things stay that way, they probably won't even need war with France to form a larger Germany. We'll see if Austria or Prussia ends up leading this one. Well, we have the money to help yes, while epidemic and widespread famine disappeared almost entirely, we'll aid the starving. We can do that ourselves. We don't need any large concert that ends up inadvertently raising money for our dictatorship. Germanistag. Intellectual Assembly for the demanded a general citizenship as at this point, Bismarck had not yet appropriated the German nationalist movement, which at this point in history was still largely a radical Republican one, and which explains the opposition of many of the more conservative monarchs like the Austrians, who wanted it on their terms if it was going to happen at all. Let's have a look at our pops for the moment. We have serfs now? When did this happen? Hang on a second. I did not know that there were any. They appear to be in... They appear to be in sort of the Tigray region mostly. Well, I may need to end up explaining that mechanic after all. I don't know too much about it, actually, since I have not... I haven't played in Eastern Europe all that much. So I will leave an explanation for that in the description for the serf system in the description. Now, one annoying problem is that thanks to Tawadros the second not really being a legitimate member of the Solomonic dynasty and largely being considered a very violent person, not dissimilar to the way that Nobunaga Oda is thought of today. Yeah, we see a constant hit to our prestige, which is lowering our score. Well, once again, See, the thing is, liberalism is not that useful for us as an ideology. Well, again, we need to get our research points as fast as we can. We're not getting quite the we're gonna need our first reform as soon as we can get it. So again, so the Schleswig-Holstein question has just fired, it appears. This led to here we go. Now the real stuff is the real stuff is happening in terms of the Spring of Nations, which in this case I guess sort of began in 1847, but is really seriously starting now. Milan has formed a provisional republican government. We have the Hungarian Revolution is occurring now. Usually, what typically happens is what happens in real life. What happened in real life, the ancien regimes win most of the major conflicts, but the attitudes of your pops are transformed. Pan-German nationalism becomes a bigger issue among North and South German pops, for instance, and the general overall political ideology of Europe of European pops changes to favor favor slightly more the liberal ideologies, but again, the major revolutions fail, so even reform will have to wait for a moment. In any case, it probably not be long. And Russia continues to expand along the Caucasus. I'm going to wait for our next reform and for my infamy to go down before I expand any more. Speak of the devil. Now, a lot of people are tempted to get imported weapons first. There's a decision once you get sphered that can allow you to purchase modern weaponry from whichever European nation spheres you. We'll see what progress have we made. Well, so we've begun our reforms. We've probably boosted the militancy of our reactionary pops. But that cannot be helped. Generally speaking, in this game, you modernize and you expand, or you get fucked over. Mexico remains a great power, but they seem to be losing the Mexican-American War pretty hard. Yeah, Austria's got a lot to deal with, a lot on its hands. But Schleswig-Holstein looks like is going to remain independent as such. So, yeah, this event just popped up. The wars were already happening, but it has now shown us the event. In 1848, revolutionary riots broke out in numerous places of Italy as well as in many other parts of Europe. Charles Albert in Piedmont had been forced to make concessions to the Democrats. With Vienna itself in revolt, both Milan and Venice, the main cities of the Kingdom of Lombardy-Venetia under Austrian rule, revolted. The situation was favorable to Sardinia, which, I mean, if you know your European history, I think you know the rest of the story. Now, Sardinia appears to be intervening on their behalf. So we're going to have to see how a lot of these things go. Maybe things will go a bit differently for Europe than they went in our timeline. We will see. But in the meantime, I think this is a good place to make my next cut. I have been Merocati, you have been you. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. I will see you next time.